And when a manager, Klopp sort of legacy, like he's a very well regarded manager in the Prem, and if he's looking at bringing in a foreign coach because Jurgen Klopp's loved and he was a bit of a media darling, it's sort of like, oh, that's very intuitive by Klopp to bring in a throwing coach. But when Arteta does it, he's crazy and he's doing too much. And I do just think there is a bit of a hate against Arsenal. There is this sort of this urge to criticise us even when we do well. And to be honest, I'm so glad that we're finally going to get the fruits of our labour, because for so long, and we were saying it a few weeks ago after that Wolves draw, that it just feels deflating because we know what this team's capable of, we know what the players can do, but you have to go and do it, and once you do it, that's when you probably do get the validation. So I'm just so happy. This is why I mentioned Declan Rice, because last night, the way he was just putting fires out on the pitch, the ball would just break, and then Declan Rice would just come out of nowhere. He was driving us up the pitch, dropping the ball off. I thought it was a very professional performance, but just want to mention City because obviously, boys, we're in a title race with City, Pep Guardiola City. They're notorious for being quite ruthless in the running where they just win. Certain decisions start going their way. You're looking at the league like, why are they getting these decisions? Why was Rodri charged in February? We're now in March and he still hasn't got a ban. CJ, I see that smile. I know you want to go mad, but allegedly there's something going on there. I don't know what it is. But with Man City dropping points to Forest at home, not away, at home, for me, once it highlights the quality of the league when Elliot Anderson steps up, slots it bottom corner, just shows you the quality and different.
Well, man, what a finish!
What a performance!
Finish.
First time touch, very good counter-attacking goal. Very good goal. But this is what I mean, the quality of the league. You can go to City away when you're in a relegation battle, nick a point. Not even nick a point, they deserve the point, to be fair. But you boys said it. City aren't the same Sharks that they've always been. It's not the same City. Erling Haaland was in the starting lineup yesterday, didn't score. I actually said in December, I feel like when Haaland doesn't score, it seems like City don't always win. When he scores, it feels like they just win, and it's a bit of just a matter of how many is Haaland going to get. But they drop points. The gap is 7 points. Luke, you highlighted the Everton game. If we beat them, we play before City, could be a 10-point lead. Obviously, they got a game in hand. I mean, is this City starting to crumble, Luke? Is this showing that this isn't the same Pep Guardiola side that just smash through team after team, win after win? You don't even check the score. You just know City have won. Are they vulnerable now?
Well, look, I think that's a question for a City fan. But what I can say...
See, Luke kills me because he's
not trying to look... Mikel, man. I rate that.
Well, that is. I mean, look, I watched him on Saturday in the second half. Look, the first half, Leeds did well, and I think Leeds had too much energy.
Yeah.
But in the second half, I saw City, and I thought they were mightily impressive the way they shut them out in the second half. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this is why football is the beautiful sport. It's a brutal sport as well, because I had a little bit of a hope that Leeds could get us something. I didn't even bother thinking about yesterday. I was more concerned about us getting the 3 points, and then that's what happens. And I thought Forest were actually very, very good in the second half. I don't think it's for City to I don't know if they've always been vulnerable this season. However, the narrative has been that City are going to come and catch us. The narrative has been City will go on these runs. The narrative is they've got mentality monsters that have done it before. I've heard everything. But City are still on an exceptional side. And I truly believe that they'll still think the title race is well and truly on. Now, I don't want to look at City too much because we need to focus on our own job. And while it's still in our hands, I don't want to be in a position where I have to look at City and rely on City.
Okay, Luke, let me change this then. Let me just change the sort of lead up to it then. Okay, we do play City away.
Yep,
Has this given you encouragement for our game against City in a month's time?
There is no encouragement. I always said that we have to go there and win at the Etihad. That doesn't change if they won all their games. It doesn't change if they draw all their games.
I share that sentiment.
Listen, go and seize it, embrace it. I've always said this,
I agree.
I look at this now, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity. And we talk about the ramifications in other competitions. I really hope they beat Real Madrid. I really hope they play Bayern Munich 3 days before they play us. And I hope they do drop points. But I'm not looking at it and expecting and anticipating. My focus is on what we can do and how we can control our noise and how we can pull clear. And right now, the perfect thing about last night is that we can breathe. I'm not saying we can drop points, but we can breathe and we can actually eradicate that Wolves performance and result from our minds. Because if we beat Wolves, it would have been 7 points, and now it's 7 points with the game in hand. So it is as you were, and it's actually 3 games on. So that's nice. That's really, really nice. However, yeah, I'm not getting too ahead of myself in terms of thinking about City. I don't really want to think about City, but hopefully the players will look at yesterday from the City point of view. I don't know if it's true, but there's this thing on social media that Arteta has whispered into Saka.
Yeah.
Saka's face is a little bit surprised. Whether he's told him that happened and you hear the fans behind cheering. Listen, I hope that gives them the lesson. Not that they need the lesson, but just a sharp little reminder that no game is won on paper. So do your job, be respectful, be professional, and go out and win games. And then you'll see. You might just see a difference. You might just see the embracing pressure. You might just hear that they've dropped points again, because I do think City will drop points again. I do.
Us as well.
I've always been very, very consistent in the fact that I don't think Arsenal will lose a game. And I think they'll win all their games and draw one.
Look, you're making CJ nervous, Luke. What are you doing?
No, do you know
man?
what? Because as he said that,
doing?
yeah, because as he said that, to be fair, Luke said that on Monday. I'm just looking at the fixture calendar list in front of me, and I'm like, you know what? We're gonna have to go and do it. But
listen,
it really is the most exciting part of the season, isn't it? As the gaffer said.
Well, what I will say is very, very lucky. City have a really rough draw away in Newcastle, which will be a rejuvenated one because of what happened last night in the FA Cup. Obviously, we play Mansfield, and you don't want a cup shock. You don't want that to happen. But then you go to Leverkusen, then you play Everton, Leverkusen again, and you've got a cup final. Sounds a lot nicer than Real Madrid and then West Ham away than Newcastle.
And then Bono, Glint or Sporting following that. You mentioned Bayern Munich for City.
Way too far. Thank you very much.
No, Luke, no, you can't tell me it's way too far when you said we're not going to lose another game this season.
No, but
forgive me,
right?
Forgive me.
But we haven't even got through Leverkusen. Let's not talk about Bono and Sport. Let's talk about things that are actually going to happen.
But you're confident we are getting past Leverkusen, aren't you? You are confident.
Yeah. I'm confident. Yeah, absolutely. I've just said we're going to go to the Etihad. So if I'm not confident about going to the Etihad, I wouldn't be confident about Leverkusen.
This is what I'm saying. But this is what I'm saying, Luke.
But this is the thing. But it's confidence and trust, but they have to go and deliver it. We can say these on these podcasts and when we chat and when we represent the football club, we can do all of that, but it's up to them. And we support them, we love them, and I firmly believe they will beat Leverkusen. I firmly believe we'll be in the next round of the FA Cup. I firmly believe we'll beat Everton, and I firmly believe that we will win the cup final against Manchester City, because I've said that as well. And then we click our fingers, and then we're in April. And then April right now is still, in football terms, not that long away, but it's a whole month away. So let's have that conversation in April where we are, because things might be different. You have to factor in different things. City might have dropped points. We might have dropped a point. We might have a couple of injuries to deal with. They might have a couple of injuries to deal with. But right now, it's a very nice time to be an Arsenal fan. And I keep going back to it. As Madueke said, it should be the most exciting time to be an Arsenal player, and it should be a most exciting time to be a fan. So everyone that's going to work today, on Thursday, have a lovely day at work. Have a little smile.
And terrorise your colleagues, man.
Well, keep your head down. Just say hello. Don't get too, because you're not allowed to do that because we haven't won anything yet. Just say hello. How's your morning? And just enjoy it.
And put your arms on the table, man.
I know it's difficult because it's, and people always say this and they forget. And I keep saying obviously it's Arteta's Arsenal, but the pain and desperation has not been from Arteta. It's been from the last 2 decades of having teams that have been in title races and come close and seen the beautiful football and hearing how they were naive and had a soft underbelly and they need to be stronger. It goes back to 5 years ago that Arsenal are not going to get anywhere until they become stronger on the pitch.
No one cared when Ramsdale used to get thrown into his goal every week from set pieces.
No, but people like to see Arsenal get bullied because that's what they became accustomed to. Beautiful football when push comes to shove.
Do you remember the 2022-23 season, the 0-0 with Newcastle, when the ball was out of play for a record at the time, and the sentiment around that? That's what annoys me. It's everybody does it. The game's the game. You can be frustrated, but the most dangerous thing is the language and how you twang it and how you talk about things. And it feels like one rule for Arsenal, 20 for others. Like even the manager for Brighton saying Arsenal are creating their own rules. Are we creating our own rules, or are we finessing the rules? Like what you've seen City do. I've seen Conte do it. I've seen Jose do it. How much lessons do you think in that regards Arteta's learned from off his own playing experiences, but also off of David Moyes, one of the most experienced street smart gaffers going about? Don't hate us because we're doing it better than you.
It's facts. No, it's facts. You know what, Luke? You've mentioned the next 5 games or so, and I've got the fixture list there. They're the next 5 games. before the international break. Then there's a long old time before the next game. I'm not sure if we get through in the Champions League. Luke's going to tell me off for looking that far ahead. But if we get through to the quarters, I'm not sure if that game would come before the Bournemouth match or an FA Cup game in there before, because that FA Cup seems a long time. I thought so. But how important are those next 5 games? 2 legs in the Champions League last 16, FA Cup, Carabao Cup final. I personally think that could be the springboard for us to just go and have because we've actually got a chance to have an amazing season here. Like, it's actually, like CJ just said it there, really is the most. Nah, because Luke, do you know, it is when you're under the stress and pressure. Like last night, I was stressed, bro. I'll be honest. I was stressed watching the game, not because I don't trust the players, just because you care so much, you want it so much, and it's not in your hands. You can't control it. It's like playing Football Manager when your team's not doing what you want them to do. You're just sitting there like, why aren't they doing it? CJ, I know you can relate to that. So it's just a bit.
I can't lie, that's a real bar, man.
It's just tough to watch because you're in control. But I honestly,
I'd be more concerned if any else. Like, no, I can't tell a fan how to feel. But there's no Arsenal fan that sat there last night and was like chilling.
That's my point, Luke.
You're a liar if you say you was.
Yeah. You want it so much, you care so much.
If you weren't nervous, you didn't care. But what I'm more trying to say, Luke, is
I hear what you're saying.
We're on the verge of, we could do something special. And I know you're saying don't get too ahead of yourself, but looking at the Premier League games, I'm sort of hearing what you're saying, Luke, in that outside of the City game, I genuinely expect us to win almost every game we got left in the league. Like, and if not win, not to lose. And then you look at the FA Cup, the Champions League, it has been a nice run handed to us. If you were picking the draw before last Friday's draw, that is what you would have picked. You would have. Yeah. So,
but let's just demand the merit from winning 8 from 8 in that. By the way, you create your own luck.
Facts.
I mean, don't forget.
Yeah, there's no conspiracy. Oh my God, Arsenal is fixed for Arsenal, and even that the Champions League. Sorry, it fixed for us. Have you seen?
I was one of those fans that, you know, don't forget that Inter Milan game was 4 days before Man United. And obviously off the back of the Liverpool and Forest results, a lot of Arsenal fans were saying, listen, I rotate that team a little bit.
You're right.
We part the Champions League and everything like that. And you never know. Obviously, like, you know, if we would have dropped that points, we'd been second. We might have been second next on the draw. We would have been on the other side. So things like that with Arteta, you know, you have to win every game. And, you know, I was like, you know, that Inter Milan result. And
it's paid off.
The Inter Milan result, going with the team and going with the intensity to win the game and play like we did, has paid off. So you earn your luck. And we still have to play the games. But yeah, the Champions League is I celebrated the draw. It's nice, but again, we have to play those games.
You have to do your job.
Yeah, it looks like it's just weird because I get what your point is. There is so much football to be played, but the season is nearly at an end because March is such a weird month in terms of its FA Cup, its Champions League, it's one more Premier League game and a cup final. Click your fingers, international break, and then you're not even in April. You're in April the 11th. You're coming up to mid-April, and then it's mid-May the season finishes. So I understand it, how it can just go. That's why, for me, I don't know. I woke up yesterday morning and I was just like, "Oh my God, this game is massive." Like it was bigger than what I actually thought it was before. Do you know what I mean? Because I just looked at the psychological things of being in March and then being in April, then moving from a competition to another competition. Yeah, it's big, but yeah, look, I don't think they'll lose a game. I might be wrong, but if they do lose a game, then we have to swallow it and go. We've only lost, like I said, we lost 3 games all this season. I don't think it's the most outrageous thing to say that I don't think Arsenal will lose a game. And if they want,
frustrating if anything.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? If we lose a game or if we draw a game, then we have to respond. It's as simple as that. And you never know. Look, you might draw the second leg or the first leg at Leverkusen, and it might not mean much.
You can't win them all, man.
You can't win them all. You never know. That might be, and it looks like on paper, then you've drawn a game and then you go and win a few more. And yeah, but I'm delighted with them. Hope we see a lot of rotation for Mansfield.
Well, Luke, I was going to ask, what would you boys do for Mansfield? I personally, Zubimendi rest, Declan Rice rest, Gabriel rest. I wouldn't go too strong. You do want to see some names. I'd like to see Kai Havertz start. I'm not sure what's happening with Ben White, Martin Odegaard, Calafiori
on the field.
Yeah, Jesus can get a game. Maybe Calafiori.
Martinelli, they get minutes. Noni comes into the fore. Max Dowman and Marley Salmon. There should be minutes there. You know, do you know what? Even with that, It's a
Hopefully
weird one
Odegaard as well.
because we've got injuries in it and players got niggles. So like on one hand, we have to obviously I'm with you, look, rotate against Mansfield, but you do have to have X amount on the bench. Some players will have to probably play some minutes. You know, you're hoping for good news, not necessarily to play against Mansfield, but definitely where Saliba, White, Odegaard are concerned that we need all our players back. Quickly, just about the Premier League, yeah. Do you know what's weird for me? I feel a lot more comfortable away from home. I feel there's a lot more, the Premier League, there's a lot more anxiety at the Emirates. And I'm looking at it. For me, that's probably why I'm a bit nervous about Everton, about Bournemouth, about Newcastle, about Fulham. Don't get twisted. I don't want to say I expect to win, but I'm confident that we can go and do our job. But that's something that flew over my head about Brighton yesterday. And that I just think because of the away fans, because of how the dynamics are away from home, it's not that we're a lot more professional. I know we've dropped points recently away from home. I just feel a lot more comfortable now that I could kind of calm down. But
I think
I'm with
that's
you lot, man.
understandable,
Rotate where you can.
CJ, though. Recent
Pardon me?
seasons in title races, I think that's reasonable. Like, in recent seasons, we dropped points
100%.
at home to Villa, to West Ham. So we have even
Some of it's
Southampton.
illogical, but some of it is valid. Like some of it is like what Luke said. There's 2 decades of obviously we haven't won. That's why I think it's vital beyond the obvious why we need to win the Premier League this season. We need to get that itch off our back. I say that because if we were to assume like next season plays out in this way and that we're all sat here talking about the Premier League, about City this and about City that, it's not to say that there won't be nerves and there won't be kind of talking points, but you've kind of crossed that path in it. You can kind of calm down a bit. It's not as anxious. Oh my God, what's going on? Where you're overanalyzing. That's why I think beyond the obvious, it's vital we get this Premier League, which is why us three always have that debate. Me and Luke had it on Monday on my platform where I asked him, do you want the Premier or the Champs? And then he flipped the question back at me and I said, and Luke can quote me, I said, for myself, I would pick the Champions League over the Premier League. But for the boys, I think you need the Premier League because of what's happened. And obviously, neither Luke, nor you, Roms, nor myself, we want to have those conversations if it goes negatively, innit? So it's the most enjoyable part of the season. It's the business end. Just go get things done, man. There's going to be spanners in the works. Until it's mathematically impossible for anyone but us to win this title, we just have to keep going, which I think the boys are doing. Because have you noticed, they criticise us about everything. They can never say we lack desire, we lack focus, we don't understand the job at hand. Obviously, mistakes happen. And I do think that's something that's lost in football. Football is a human, mistakes happen, spanners in the works happen. Raya made a mistake. I've seen some of Raya's best games in the Arsenal shirt have actually been when he's made mistakes, you know. He's made a mistake that went unpunished yesterday. Okay, it happens. He riz up too. Magalhaes has obviously made mistakes as well along the road. He riz up too. And I love my defence, innit? My defence wins titles. We're scoring enough goals to win games, but our attackers need to go and do things. We all know where the improvements need to be made. But at this point in the season, it is what it is. Just don't buckle now, innit?
And you talked about that. And Rice, yesterday, there was a moment where he
Rice
lost
as
the
well,
ball.
big him up.
But when he lost the ball, and then he
nicked
won
it
it back with a crunching challenge.
We've got a horse in midfield.
That typifies your winning. That typifies playing as a team. And that's the team, that's the core. And I spoke to you about this on Monday quickly, about the atmosphere at the Emirates.
They're overplaying it a bit.
I'm on the fence, and I said this to you because, you know, English football fans, it's different to European. You know, we're never going to be jumping up and down if you're 2-0 down. It just doesn't work. We live it and we go through the game as we see it, and that's how we come across. But I was at the Chelsea game, and I was nervy. I thought, I've said it before, I've said it during the week, I thought, in the first 15 minutes, I thought Chelsea played the better football. But at the hour mark, where Chelsea was still, the crowd was still going, come on, Arsenal. And we were with them. And then I think it was Timber said, everyone calm down. So it's that relationship that they're actually like, yeah, we know, but we're in control. And then obviously, look, Chelsea do the stupid, indiscipline. Well, we've not said that about Arsenal before. And look, they got sent off. But we've learned we're more mature. Arsenal haven't picked up a red card this season. No one's talking about that.
Very
mature,
true.
discipline, not going back to the referee because of what happened last season. So little things like that. You're learning little things along the way. But I just think the crowd plays with them. You just play with them. So when they're expressing themselves, we're there. When we're nervous, we're going to sing and we're going to try and suck them in. Even in those last 15 minutes, you know.
Facts.
Nervous, but I was there. We were screaming, going, come on, like take it out, like, and everyone was cheering when Gabrielle was pulling it long. And
even yesterday, the lady in the crowd when she's going like this,
that I love.
But big her up, man. That's what we need.
So this notion that it's nervy it's true, but it isn't like we're not afraid. It's like we're with them. We're feeling it with them. We're together, and we've got
so much wrong with having nerves, bro.
And that's
the man
because
of human.
you care, and that's what you want, right? But I don't want people to make this, and I don't want people to make this conversation like, going to the Emirates. They don't like playing at home because it's nervy. No. It's home. It's where we put the lights on. That's our comfort blanket.
I mean,
they need to embrace it
in the last 2-3 years at the Emirates as well. For all
we've
the
got
lack of
5
trophies.
games
We're not
left, I
scared
think,
to-
at home, right? I think we've got 5 games left. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's Palace away, City away,
and West Ham.
West Ham away. And yeah, if you
Bring
told
it
me
on,
we'd
man.
have 5 away games and 5 home games, I'd be picking 5 home games.
Of course.
As as Pep says, and as Arteta says, you play with your people. You feel
Yeah.
it. You play with your people.
And
we'll
Arteta's
be
made
there
a big.
singing-
That's one thing Arteta's made a big song and dance about. Literally since the moment he signed for this, he became our manager. And I know people laughed when he said, "Bring your shin pads" and all of that, but it plays a part definitely for Arsenal Football Club. Where let's be honest, we're not the noisiest of fans. We are a bit moody at times. We're not. It's not like Newcastle away sort of thing. So. That is why we need all our fans. And don't get twisted. Sometimes the fans have to lift the players have to lift the fans. Sometimes we're all kind of nervy. As Lucas said, like, we're not like European fans or fans all over the world where it don't matter where you are, you're singing, you're dancing, beers are flying, shirts
It's English
are off.
culture.
We're moody English fans, isn't it? That's typically what everybody's like. Is what it is.
No, I'm confident in them home games, and I think you two have said it there. To be honest, it's emotional. It's an emotional game. It's why we love it. It's why we live it. We breathe it. It's why we're up early doing this, recording this. I know you two are gonna go and talk even more about this game. I'm gonna do the same, but I'm actually on the way to the golf course. I'm doing a shoot with Jamie O'Hara, Jermaine Pennant, and I can't wait. I've never wanted to see Jamie O'Hara more. Is there anything you boys want me to say to him? Any messages?
All right, man. Just say he's welcome to the parade, man. He once got released by Arsenal. And also Jermaine Pennant. I was on the inside show with him, Harry and Abby. I did say if we have a parade, I need you lot on a panel again. So just simple reminders. Pennant, you're allowed to roll as well, man.
You're welcome, Pennant. You're welcome.
You're welcome. And you O'Hara, man. Bring Harry Kane as well.
Bring Harry. Bring him.
I saw O'Hara yesterday in the office. Safe to say, I think my reaction gave it away. And I think his reaction gave it away when the Murillo cleared it off the line and the full-time whistle went and I ran past him and I gave it, let's just say I ran up and
Big
down.
up Nottingham Forest, man. They gave us the red and white kits and they've given us a bit of a gift indirectly. And even that, I know we got to kind of go, but obviously the Nottingham Forest game was kind of focusing on Man City and winning the league. That's first world problems. Everyone likes to forget Forest are
So
fighting
true.
for their lives, like a couple of teams really. And I think Luke said it. I think this ain't the same City side. We know it's not. But I wouldn't say City have been lucky. But I do think Arsenal and City are very different, but they're very similar in that there's been kind of mistakes from us or areas of improvements that have gone unpunished for both teams. Where Arsenal in their situation, City in theirs. And City have won a lot of those games. I remember Crystal Palace away, I remember Brentford. You could obviously, they drew against us, but you could say them. But this is what makes it exciting, man. It's a level playing field. It's just go out there and get it done.
We're looking forward to the end of the season, boys. Thank you for joining me as ever. If you've been watching, listening, make sure to like, subscribe to the TalkSport Arsenal channel. Myself, Luke, and CJ are across all the TalkSport platforms, so you'll see us here, there, everywhere. But boys, thank you for joining me, as I said, and we'll see you next time, people.